this is from Tyler, who in our Parliament group on Discord asked us to address this as how should I handle it when my wife sends her son to his biological father's house knowing he doesn't provide the proper environment for the child. I'm going to shorthand the context, but the context is there's some special needs and dietary needs and those kind of things for nutrition. So they really have worked with the child. They then prepped meals and got things ready and made it as easy as they could to continue that line of care to help follow the kid through, right? They didn't just say, hey, you got to do this, figure it out. They made all the prep, and then it basically didn't matter.
Well, and they consulted professionals. They had doctor recommendations for what they were trying to accomplish. So it's not just a willy-nilly, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah.
It was...
And his child is high-functioning autistic, and so that's key to the story, I think, here. And nutrition can help. So it's not just we don't want our kid eating wheat. It is you cannot want your kid eating anything. I'm sorry I made fun of that. But it is very much hey, this is going to help things and help our child. And then Bio Dad didn't give a crap. So, gents, what's our advice as Parliament? How do we handle it? Because he's also stepdad, Tyler's stepdad in this situation, right? Obviously, because Bio Dad is at the other house. So it's a tough position to be in.
The first thing that I would do is document what happened, document what the doctor's instructions were, because I don't know what his situation is, but having stuff like that documented, if there was ever any custody issues or things like that, having that documented goes a long way. So I realize that doesn't do anything to solve the actual issue with the parent or the child, but that would be my first advice. Document it.
Kurt?
Couple of thoughts. The first one is because I remember reading this in the Discord as well. The first thing is his wife is the biological mother, correct?
Yes.
I would suggest only communicating with the biological father.
Because it is mentioned that was texted to the
so that's part of it. The other part is from the program that was provided by the doctor. Was a copy of that actually sent to the biologicals or the biological father, or was it just, hey, we talked to a doctor, here's what the doctor recommended, please follow? Because it makes a little bit of a difference. It gives a little bit more weight to the instructions, right? But then also, what wasn't clear to me is she spent all day yesterday prepping meals, organizing charts, and creating a detailed plan. And were the meals actually sent with the kid, or was it, here are the recipes we recommend?
I mean, my interpretation was they prep the meals boxed. When I hear meal prepping,
me too.
But it could also be meal planning.
Right, and that's why it wasn't 100% clear. Sure. I think if you are sending meals with the kid and they're still ignoring them, that's a problem. But here is, in my opinion, the biggest issue. Divorces with shared custody stink because these things happen and there's usually very little you can do without going to court.
And that's why I said the first thing I would do is document.
Right. So, and even that may not solve it. Like, that's the other part of that, right? It could get super ugly.
I was gonna go. I am gonna go with the humans are trash and you can only influence what you can influence answer, which is one, trust yourself, trust your God, trust your universe, whatever you believe in, and know that 1 to 2 days of disruption can be fixed. Secondly, because being a paramedic for almost 30 years, autism has been around for a very, very, very long time. And only in the last 20, 30, 40 years have we started really recognizing and diagnosing it as anything other than what we'd call slow or
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
mental capacities, those kind of things, right? That means, I say that to say, people have made it through life not even knowing how to help with these things. It will be okay, because it does sound like the sun stays there more often than at bio dad's house. It means you're gonna have more healthier influence on it, right? Yes, to do all the work, make it easy, send the meals, send the prep, send the doctor's note, yes, all of that, but also know they got divorced for a reason. Don't know what it is,
Right.
don't know how it matters,
Well,
right?
yeah. I'm sorry. So because of what you just said, one thing that just occurred to me was another tact might be to talk with the son. He's high functioning, right? So he has an ability to reason and to communicate. And if he's high functioning, at least based on the only thing that I know is that's usually a social issue more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
And so what might be valuable is to prep the kid and say, look, we did all this planning, we're sending these with you, but just understand when you go visit dad, it may be different this weekend, but that's okay because you'll come back to the plan. You'll come back
Right.
and it'll be okay. And just I understand it's going to be upsetting, but you're very strong. You can do this. Whatever happens for a couple of days, you're going to be good. And when you come back, we'll get right back to normal. And maybe just something like that would help at least control what you can control.
Yeah,
Right.
well, and influence what, yeah, exactly. Influence what
Right.
you can influence. And that's the thing. It depends on how much it throws it off. Because if it is actually detrimental to the kid's health, you can get, and I don't know the situation with bio
Right.
dad. It could be hell on earth. It could be fine. They just didn't give a crap about this thing. Who knows? Yeah, the result was this thing didn't happen. I do know, as a parent and as somebody in medicine, we put a lot of extra weight on doctor stuff instead of trusting our instincts and watching what's happening. So, okay, I do see an improvement. Just because I see an improvement doesn't mean if they miss one day, it's all gone away, right?
Right.
We kind of, in medicine, I've just seen this happen over and over again. We just kind of say, oh, if we don't do this one thing forever, it'll be the end of the world. And okay, sometimes it is. If you are feeling balanced because you're taking your mood balancing medication, and then you stop taking it, well, the next day you're going to feel fine. Next day but eventually you're not going to feel fine, right? So that can happen. You know, yeah, I get all of that without the details we're having, but ultimately, if it actually throws the kid way back or makes the child worse in whatever development they're trying to go through, you have to relay that to the doctor.
Yeah.
Possibly get dad more involved at the doctor's office. Then at some point, unfortunately, you may have to go deal with this in court.
Yep.
But I think for the most part, just pay attention to the effect it has, because it does sound like, from what you did tell us, that the kid stays with you guys more, which means you'll be able to do the meal plan a lot more than he goes without the meal plan. And just pay attention.
And it's really hard because we really don't know anything.
Right.
Like,
But,
I mean,
I know, but I think the key is, as best you can, make it about the kid. That's the success I've had at work. When, I mean, every adult thinks they have something to say. And we always feel like whenever you're saying something, it's a give or take, right? I'm getting mad. Why are you saying that? So as adults, we kind of fight. But my success has been, like in this case, it's not I, the ex-wife, am telling you what to do. It's our son needs this. Everything is our son. Not I want you to do it. Not I did. Not I learned. You take the I out of it. You take the we out of it and just say our son. Our son. Because at work, it's not our son. It's our patient. You know, we
Right.
move.
Yeah.
Every time I said, yeah, no, you can be upset that I'm telling you have to come to work, but we move patients and our patients will pass away if we don't do this. And it's hard to argue with that, right?
yeah.
You love your son. You want to see your son. Our son needs this.
The other thing that kind of makes this a little difficult too is often with situations like this, particularly with a special needs kid and new parents, you know, because you got the biologicals plus their spouses now.
Yep.
There's sometimes, and I'm not even saying this is the case because we don't know, but sometimes there's some animosity that's just built in.
And their default mode is to reject any suggestions.
Yeah.
And just see, like, it may not be affecting the kid as much as their filter makes it seem. But we don't know. We don't know. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for us without knowing way more.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different. Everybody's individual.
Absolutely. And if you said he was deeper on the spectrum to where things trigger him, well, that's an instant response. If he's high functioning, dad may never see the results of it, right? Dad may go, well, you're full of crap. I fed him pizza all weekend long, and he's fine. Yeah. And then on school on Monday, he's not fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a little off, you know.
Right.
But for Tyler. I always want to say Taylor. That's why I say the full run through most of the time. Because like Tyler. I just say full run through. But the harder part is, as the second husband, all you can do is listen to your wife, let her vent, because that's what women want most. Is not for us to solve the problem, but to let them talk to us and validate the emotion of it and the validity of it. And
it's not about the nail.
Ideas. Yeah, you know. Stupid. But there's not a whole lot you can do. Right. You know, you can't.
It's hard.
It is. I mean, my parents never separated, but my father has his wife, and that's a relationship, and he has his son, and that's a relationship. But I have a whole different relationship with my mother. Right? He sees her differently than I see her, kind of thing. And that's just, and so when you add the extra layers of divorce, and it's tricky, but all you really can do is say, hey, while he's here, we will do everything we can. And I'm here to help you. Because the reality is you cannot until the law steps in, which takes a long time. Even if you go to court on it and the judge says, yeah, do this, you still have to catch him not doing it and enforce. I mean, it's a long time. It's a mess. So until that becomes messy, there's nothing you can do to change what happens outside here. The school cannot follow the program. And then when you find out, you just get mad and they get fired or something happens, but you still can't change it. You can only affect what you can affect. And I have found some success with my wife that way too, going, hey, listen to you, validate, short version, good feelings. You're right to feel that way. And hey, we can still just do what we do here, and you can have BioDad listen to wise_in_nerdy, and we will tell him what to do. And he'll be fans of ours, and he'll listen. And they're like, hey, dummy, follow the food plan. So we got a follow-up to Tyler. Last week we did the Parliament of Papas about split households, right? Second marriages and stepkids. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So for those that don't remember, the context was they were sending their high-functioning autistic child to the biological father's house, and they had consulted with a doctor to improve his diet and nutrition. They had a meal plan already based on the doctor's instructions, and the biological father had completely ignored it. Now, we had some questions that weren't 100% clear to us in the context, specifically just about various things. And so Tyler commented on Discord saying that, number one, they provided the documented proof of the doctor's recommendations.
That's the only one we really weren't sure about. The rest we pretty much estimated that they had done.
Well, and then the other one, we had a question on whether they had prepped meals or whether they had planned meals.
We both inferred that they had prepped them and sent them.
Well, and they did. He did use the term prep, and he confirmed that yes, they sent the actual food over for the week to feed him for the weekend to the biological father's house. And so to me, that is there's there's only so much you can do, and you did everything that you could to get them to follow that plan. And so I stick with my previous comment of document exactly what happened and them disregarding it, because if you ever need a court order to try to enforce them to abide by doctor's orders, then having the documented interactions that they are not following it will be a boon in the legal system. And I hate that it might come to that, but beyond that, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You can't control their household.
Tyler, can you really take legal advice from a man who says off the chain donuts? I mean, he did say that the advice that we gave, really, regardless of the facts, and those were, we inferred a right fact, and the other one was a guess, but still, the paperwork obviously didn't matter. But the advice we gave really hit home and seemed to help out, and that's really all we aim for, is to point you in a direction, and hopefully you get something out of it.